time, right? Is it time? It's 11:10, right? That's when your workshop is? Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Can we please quiet down? Thank you. So now we're going to start our fourth workshop. That is Dare to Innovate. And our stage moderators are going to be Dia Luthra and Cindy of Cal-HOSA.
Yay! Hello, No Crowd HOSA. I hope we're all doing well so far. Are you ready for our last but definitely not least workshop? Yeah! I couldn't hear you. Are we ready? Oh, so are we. Our fourth workshop is entitled Dare to Innovate, Launch Your Health Career with the U.S. Air Force and the Army. So we've invited two experts from the military, Second Lieutenant Kyle Villacorta for the U.S. Space Force, and Sergeant First Class Melinda Gaither from the U.S. Army. Yay! Let me start by asking our panelists if they can tell us briefly about themselves and the reason they joined the military.
Hello guys, I'm Second Lieutenant Kyle Villacorta. I graduated from Oxford in 2019, and I'm a recent graduate of the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Thank you. I joined the military because growing up, I came from a very low socioeconomic background. I immigrated from the Philippines when I was 5 years old, and from an early age, I realized I didn't really have much, right? My parents gave me every opportunity that they could, but at the end of the day, I wanted to take, I guess, college as my own financial responsibility. The military, specifically the Air Force Academy, provided me that opportunity. I went to college for free. All my room and boarding and all the food, everything was provided for me, and I now have a Bachelor's of Science as well as a commission into the Space Force. So for me, the military was kind of something that I initially took as a financial educational advantage, but now I'm staying because of the opportunities of community service and everything else that the Air Force and the military provides me.
Thank you. And then...
Hello, everyone. My name is Sergeant First Class Gaither. I've been in the Army for about 25 years. Why I joined the Army? Okay, so I'm gonna be quite real with you. I wanted to get away from my mom. So I did ROTC in high school, so it kind of just worked that join the Army. I now hold 4 degrees. My last master's is in marriage and family therapy, so all of it paid for. My children's college is paid for, so it kind of just worked out that I got to do some cool things and go to college at the same time.
Thank you so much. And then I'll introduce our next speaker, Cindy.
Thank you for these inspiring introductions. Could you please share an impactful moment during your training or within the military? And what were some key life lessons that you kind of took from that?
Would you like to go first?
Okay, so the most impactful moment for me was 9/11. Most of you probably were either very newborns or not even born yet. So initially I joined the Army thinking, hey, I'm gonna do some cool stuff. And then 9/11 happened, and I'm like, okay, so I really have to protect this country and the citizens of this country. And so I was mobilized. I did not get to go to war, although I volunteered 3 times, and they said no. So I did mobilize and was able to support the war from inside the United States. So I think that was the most impactful thing, just to realize serving in the military and what our role is completely. And then, what was the other question?
What were some key life lessons you took from that?
So key life lessons was literally just being able to say, I'm a United States service member. I'm able to do more than what the normal citizen has the opportunity to do. being able to protect the country, being able to share my knowledge with other people. I'm now in recruiting, so being able to talk to young people like you on a regular basis about 9/11, about how important it is for us to have military personnel.
Thank you. And Ms. Villacorta?
So I haven't been in the military for very long, right? I went to college for 4 years, and it's been roughly 5 months since I've been in the military. I think what's most impactful of what I've learned is just what you could do. Growing up, I didn't really see a lot of women in the military. It's a very male-dominated force, right? For me, being in the Air Force Academy, I was able to talk to a lot of different perspectives from women specifically to see how, they were able to grow as part of the military. I'm sure Sergeant Gaither can attest to that too. Being able to see what you're capable of. A lot of people growing up, there wasn't a lot of military presence in Anaheim or in Orange County, really. Being able to, talk to people now to tell them that, hey, you have the opportunity to serve, you have the opportunity to do so many different things with your leadership, with your career. You can fly, you can be part of the Space Force, you can be part of the Army, the Navy. For me, that was impactful to see other women in the force and to be a voice for those younger than me, to be something inspiring for them, to see, what their potential might be. Something that the military did teach me is to always be confident in yourself. You guys are part of HOSA right now, so you guys are working on those leadership, those speaking opportunities. Being confident is something that the military did teach me, because at the end of the day, you got to set yourself apart, right? And being confident, being able to speak out in front of people, that's how you do it.
Thank you very much. So for our next question, when you were in high school, were you part of any student organizations like HOSA, ASB, or ROTC? And if so, what were they, and how did they prepare you for a career in the military?
So I was not a part of HOSA because I have a terrible fear of blood. But I was part of ROTC. I ended up being the battalion commander for my ROTC class. And for those of you that don't quite seem to understand, that's like the highest ranking person in ROTC. So I got to tell other students what to do. And that was really cool. How it kind of changed the way that my career. Originally, when I graduated from high school, I wanted to be a lawyer. One, because I like to talk. So I soon found out that I didn't want to be a lawyer. So I joined the Army, and I found out that the things that I love is working with teenagers and being able to help teenagers work through mental health issues. And so now the Army gave me that opportunity to be able to look at things in a different perspective than the way I looked at things in high school.
Thank you.
Thank you. So in high school, I was part of HOSA. I was one of Mr. Cuenca's first students in HOSA. I joined because I thought that I really wanted to be a dentist, so I did all the dental terminology, the dental assistant things. Realized early on in college that that wasn't for me, but HOSA gave me the opportunity to work on my speaking abilities, to work on my confidence. My senior year, I was the student body vice president of ASB. I did ASB my sophomore year up until my senior year. I was part of a lot of different clubs, but that was 5 years ago, and I'm struggling to remember what I was a part of. But I took every leadership and educational opportunity that Oxford gave to me. I think I was part of NHS. I was part of a lot of the philanthropy clubs, just because that's something that I was interested in, something that I always wanted to serve the community in every way possible. I was part of something called Infantry Explorers down in Los Alamitos because I was curious about what the military did. That was part of the National Guard at the time. I think it still exists, but it gave me the opportunity to learn more about what each service does. But my, advice to you guys that are in high school is to stay in HOSA, because Mr. Cuenca's and all your advisors are going to be the ones that are giving you that mentorship opportunity. You guys are going to learn a lot more about leadership in ways aside from just the medical career field.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to be opening up questions to some of our audience members. Thank you.
What were your favorite classes in high school, and like how did they impact your career preparation?
I think my favorite class was the biomedical class that I was really taught. I'm not trying to say that Mr. Mike was the best teacher, but he was, in my opinion. There's a lot of things that I learned in that class, from, I think like how to properly put on a glove because I didn't realize that was a thing, right? All the, different opportunities that was provided, like part of those medical classes that we took. So that was some of the most favorite memories that I have from high school, and like that'll definitely help you in the future, especially if you guys are considering a career in the medical field.
So, my favorite class was English, obviously, because I like to talk. So,
Sorry, here you go.
oh, okay. So, my favorite class was English, more so because I like to talk. It helped me to kind of grow and be able to do public speaking now. And then it kind of pushed me into competitive oh my God. And I'm talking about public speaking and can't even speak today. But it pushed me into competitive public speaking, which prepared me more to be able to do it in the military. So it kind of was one of those, hey, okay, Shakespeare. And so I know that, like, even with having a high school student myself now, a senior myself now, she hates English. She loves math. But being able to help her through her studies, as far as the English portion, kind of helps me to reinforce some of the things that not only high school taught me, but the Army has taught me as well.
Thank you so much for your answers. And do we have any other questions?
I was just curious about how rigorous your training was in the military, and also if you could share some common misconceptions about joining the military.
Okay, so I think the hardest thing for training for me is I am scared of heights. I am deathly scared of heights. I don't ride roller coasters. I've been to Disney World and Disneyland 4 times each, and I have not rode a roller coaster for fear of dying. So part of the training included a tower that was like 40 feet in the air. And yeah, I got up there and they were like, hey, you have to do this tower. And I was like, never mind, I don't want to be in the Army anymore. And they were like, okay, cool. And I was like, are you serious? And they were like, yeah, you don't have to do it. And you can get out the Army. And I was like, yes. And then they turned around and were like, as soon as you finish this tower, you can get out the Army. So I did the tower, obviously, because I'm here 25 years later. So that was the most vigorous part of training for me. And what was the other part of the question? So common misconceptions. Y'all, we don't all go to war. My job before doing recruiting, I sat at a computer and I typed. My job was human resources. So everybody thinks that, like, oh, okay, if I join the military, I'm automatically going to war. Yeah, right, you're not. I'm the prime example. I've been in for 25 years and I've never went to war, and I joined to go to war. The thing is that most of the jobs in the military are combat support. Like our doctors, our nurses, our dentists, our vets, our nurses, all of them are combat support. So think about it like this. If I made a movie about me sitting at a desk, would you go watch that movie? But if I made a movie of someone kicking in a door and blowing some stuff up, you go watch that movie, right? Okay, That's the reason why you see all of that on TV, is because nobody want to watch combat support in a movie theater. Nobody would go and see it. Nobody would pay money to see it. So because of that, we make the movies so you'll pay the money to go see it. But that's not all that we do.
Thank you, ma'am. I think she also makes a great point. So how many of you guys have watched Top Gun? Yeah, so Top Gun's actually in the Navy, and a lot of people think it's the Air Force. So there's a misconception that everybody in the military is in the same branch. There's a lot of different branches: the Space Force, Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Merchant Marines. Lots of different things, right? For basic training, so my basic training was a little bit different because I went to the Air Force Academy, which first and foremost, it's gonna be a college. They're gonna teach you how to be an officer, but it's not what you see in the movies. You're not, getting yelled at 24/7. The people that are yelling at you are gonna be juniors or seniors at the academy. For me, when I was going through basic training, I thought I wouldn't be able to sleep. I got maybe 9 or 10 hours because they, preach being able to sleep, eating normally. For basic training, it's a 6-week course at the Air Force Academy. The first 3 weeks, you're learning how to transition from being a high schooler into being a cadet. What that looks like is everybody's gonna learn how to march, how to do the drill and ceremonies, how to learn how to salute. The next 6 weeks are the summer camp portion, is what I like to tell students. You're doing a lot of different obstacle courses. You're running around with your friends. It's not as scary as some people think. Of course, the basic cadet training is going to be very different than the basic military training. As far as training goes while you're at the academy, I got to jump out of a plane. That's not an opportunity everybody gets, right? I learned how to pilot an aircraft. I'm not a pilot by any means, but you get those cool opportunities while you're at the Air Force Academy, and I'm sure the military presents you with many different training opportunities outside of just running or carrying your weapon, all the things that you see in the movies. So lots of different opportunities, right?
Thank you very much. And do we have another question? Okay.
So how many different types of healthcare or non-healthcare jobs are there in your field of work, and how does the military specifically prepare them for their work?
So with regards to the Air Force, in terms of the officer side of things, you have the opportunity to, I have to write this down, to become a environmental engineer, a physician assistant, physician, physical therapist, clinical psychology, I'll just speak, nurse, dentist, and hospital administration. On the enlisted side, there's a lot more technical opportunities that you can pursue in the medical career, whether that be, I can't remember off the top of my head, but the technicians that, take your blood pressure, give you the shots that you need. So there's many different opportunities that the Air Force is gonna present to you with regards to medicine or the medical career field, but we also have 35 different career opportunities outside of medical and pilot. So those are your logisticians, your aircraft maintainers, your space operations, cyber. There's a lot more to the Air Force than just flying. So I highly encourage you guys to, research the medical opportunities, because at the end of the day, the military will provide you as much financial support in terms of getting your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, so that you can fulfill your full potential.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question, but I want to ask this question first. How many of you know that there are full ride scholarships in the Army for just any healthcare field? How many of you knew that there were scholarships? Okay, very few, which is not odd. It's okay. So the Army offers full ride scholarships to go to medical school, dental school, vet school, and dental school. I completely forgot about that one. Also for nursing. So if you're looking at, hey, I want to be a nurse anesthetist, we have a full ride scholarship for that. If you say, I want to be a pediatrician, if you say, I want to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. We have the scholarships for it, but a lot of people don't know about it. Every year, there are millions of dollars that we do not use because no one knows about the scholarships. No one applies. We have people that, okay, let me take that back. People apply, but not enough people to actually give away all of the money. Let me put it to you like this. Your parents pay taxes. That's their tax dollars at work. So when you're thinking about, hey, I want to go to school and I want to be a pulmonologist. Okay, let me use some of that tax money that my parents have already paid to pay for pulmonology school. Okay? Now, with that, that is our officer side, which is what she is. She's an officer. I'm an enlisted soldier. So for the officer side, that's them. For the enlisted side, we have licensed practical nurses. We have paramedics. We have occupational therapists, physical therapists. All of those different fields are offered in the Army outside of the other 120 other jobs that we offer. So anything that, think about it like this, anything that you can do inside of Anaheim, whether you're a mechanic, whether you're a plumber, whether you're a firefighter, whether you're, whatever field that you can think of, is offered in the Army. If you want to be the person that's on the news reporting live from Anaheim, guess what? We have that job in the Army, but most people don't know about it because most people are like, it's the Army. You guys go to war. I want nothing to do with you.
Thank you so much. I believe we had a couple more questions.
I would like to ask, what educational benefits does the military offer? So, for example, could you explore maybe topics about tuition, housing, and allowances?
Speaking about the Air Force Academy is a 100% full ride scholarship to attend college at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. What that looks like is no room or tuition boarding fees. Your housing is going to be taken care of, food and lodging is also taken care of. With regards to benefits, you're covered medically and with dental. Everything's covered on that end. If you choose to have a family, your dependents are also covered, so they also have the same health care benefits as you. After you graduate from the academy, the housing benefits are also amazing. We have what's called the VA loan, so if you're interested in purchasing a house, your mortgage is covered. So there's a lot of different benefits that the Air Force provides. Let's see, what did I miss? You're guaranteed a career after you graduate. So I am getting paid as a 22-year-old to help students like yourselves learn more about the Air Force Academy. But on the other hand, I'm also in the Space Force working as a space operations officer in the future. You get a monthly cadet pay. What that looks like is as a freshman, you're getting paid roughly around $100 per month. By the time you're a senior, you're getting around $900 to $1,000. And by the time you're an officer, you're getting anywhere from like $6,000 to $7,000 a month. That's being like a 21 or 22-year-old, right? You guys can do the math. You get what's called a career starter loan. Not everybody takes it, but you get $36,000 in loans. But that's a less than 1% APR. And if you guys don't know what an APR is, it's how much you have to pay back later on. For it to be less than 1%, you're basically paying back the same amount that you take. But yeah, so the Air Force Academy is a 4-year undergraduate university located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. At the end of your 4 years, you will commission as a second lieutenant in the Air Force or the Space Force, and you'll graduate with a Bachelor's of Science degree in whatever major you choose to include humanities. But there's also what's called ROTC, which is a scholarship opportunity. It's offered at 135 different colleges. I know USC has a detachment, but it's another scholarship source. They'll either pay full ride or up to $18,000 of your educational fees. From there, after you finish your 4 years, you can graduate with a Bachelor's of Science degree as well as a commission. It's fully dependent on what you're interested in doing.
So for the Army, the benefits are actually very similar. The only, our academy is like West Point. So, you know how you see on TV the Army-Navy game, the football game? Well, that's our West Point students. Benefits, I think I've used just about every single one of them. I own a home in North Carolina. I don't know about you, but I didn't have $10,000, $20,000 just sitting in the bank to do a deposit on my house. Well, the VA home loan said I didn't have to do a deposit. So I was like, what? Let me get that. So I bought my house. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go back and buy another house because it's not a one-time thing. Oh, you buy your first house and all of a sudden now you can't use that VA home loan again to be able to not have to pay a deposit on a bigger house. So I'll be going back home to buy another house with no deposit. So the other thing that I would highlight as far as the GI Bill is, remember I told you that I have a high school senior? Well, she just got her first college acceptance letter yesterday. Well, the wonderful part about that is I gave her my GI Bill. I don't pay for her to go to college. So my child is going to college next year. I don't have to pay for her dorm room. I don't have to pay for her tuition. And she cannot call me and say, Mom, I need money. So that works for me. I think that's just about all of the benefits, other than like what I told you before, the healthcare scholarships and tuition assistance to be able to pay for the undergraduate degree.
Thank you so much. And do we have one more question?
What are the academic and non-academic requirements of this program, and how is the application process? When should a high school student prepare to get ready for the process?
So you remember how I told you that I'm a recruiter? Okay, I lied. I'm the supervisor of the supervisors of the recruiters. So you see the guy sitting over there in a camouflage uniform? Yeah, I'm his boss. So to be able to prepare to join, at least for the Army, first requirement, you have to be 17 years old. So all of my sophomores and freshmen, I'm sorry, I can't put you in yet. You have to be on track to graduate from high school. You cannot join the military without having a high school diploma. A lot of people don't know that you can actually join the Army Reserve during your junior year in high school. Why? Because you go to basic training during the summer between your junior and senior year, and then you go to your job training once you graduate. Why would you want to do that? Because now the money is already there when you graduate to go to college in the fall after your senior year. So when you're looking at how do I set myself up, that's how you set yourself up. What does the Army Reserve do? Army Reserve says, I'm a high school senior. I'm a high school junior. I'm going to join the Army Reserve. I'm going to work 1 weekend a month for the Army. So while I'm a high school student, I'm making money from the Army that 1 weekend a month. Then I go back to class like I normally do. If I want to go hang out with my friends, I go hang out with my friends. If I want to do activities with HOSA, then I do activities with HOSA. What does that do? Because you're doing volunteer stuff with HOSA, now you get a medal from the Army that says you did volunteer service, although you're still a high school student. Then you go on off to college. Same thing if you do it now for active duty. If you're interested in doing it active duty, again, minimum requirement, 17 years old. But you can't do full-time Army until you graduate from high school. So you can apply during your senior year, but you can't leave for training until after you graduated.
With the Air Force Academy, we have a 10% acceptance rate since we are a college. We're fully funding for your education. What your academics and non-academics are going to look like is You're going to need to take 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 4 years of science, 3 years of social studies, 2 years of modern foreign language, 1 year of comp sci. We highly encourage you guys to take honors and AP classes as well on top of that. A lot of you guys are like looking super surprised I did it, which is, you know, you guys can fully do that too. You're also going to need to take an ACT or SAT. I know that's not mandatory anymore in California, but we are looking for students that are very much so well-rounded, meaning that you're academically achieving, you're athletic, so we want you to be a part of sport if possible, be the team captain or get letters, varsity letters, and we also look for somebody that's a person of character and leadership, so being in HOSA like definitely adds to that too. Yeah, so we also require what's called a nomination from a congressional representative, a senator, or the vice president. So with the Air Force Academy, it's a very lengthy process, but at the end of the day, you're getting $500,000 worth of education for free. You're gonna need to serve five years, depending on what job you have, but you're pretty much set up for your career. The same goes for the Naval Academy in West Point, which are our sister services. By the way, we won the Commanders-in-Chief, so we're technically better than Navy and Army, but you know, we're all under the same force. So with the Air Force Academy, it's very rigorous. There's also ROTC. It's a little bit less rigorous, but it gives every student that's interested in pursuing a military career in the future the opportunity to go to college without having that 24/7 military presence.
Thank you. We hope that our HOSA members learn innovative ways to pursue their health careers. And let's give a big round of applause to our panelists, Second Lieutenant Kyle Villacorta from the U.S. Space Force for representing the U.S. Air Force Academy, and Sergeant First Class Melinda Geither from the U.S. Army for representing the U.S. Army Active Guard Reserve Program. Thank you, guys.